Now, with an election looming and the cost of living increasing, all eyes are on tomorrow's federal budget.
The Treasurer is walking a pretty fine line between spending big to boost confidence while not tipping the country into inflation. And joining us from Canberra is Assistant Treasurer and Minister for Housing, Michael Sukkar. Minister, thanks for being with us this morning. Young people will be among the big winners in tomorrow's budget with the Apprentice wage subsidy and first home buyer scheme both extended. Can you walk us through those?
Sure. Well, today we've announced a major expansion to our home guarantee scheme, a scheme that's been in place now it's into its third year. In essence, a scheme which allows first home buyers to purchase a home with a deposit of as little as 5%. We've now expanded that scheme to 50,000 places, up from the current levels of 20,000 places. It's been such a popular scheme. It's been so successful in helping first home buyers get into the market that we've seen this as a perfect opportunity to expand it. We're going to have 35,000 places available for first home buyers every year to purchase a home with a 5% deposit, 5,000 places available for single parents to purchase a home with a deposit of as little as 2%, and 10,000 places set aside for people who build or construct a new home in our regions. So 50,000 places in total. We've seen first home buyers counterintuitively at their highest levels for nearly 15 years, and this program builds upon that. As for the Apprentice wage subsidy, that has been a really crucial program that, again, we put in place during the pandemic to support tradies and apprentices who, in times of economic difficulty, were often the first to be let go by their employers. That's what prompted the program originally. It's been such a success in growing the number of apprentices that we're expanding it even further to continue to have that pipeline of apprentices through the system. And again, it's been such a success that it's warranted being expanded and extended in the way it has.
Minister, your forecasts show that housing supply is set to drop by more than a third. That's going to add pressure to house prices and impact first home buyers. How are you going to juggle that?
Tristan, absolutely. You make a good point that ultimately the supply of housing is the most crucial way in which we can address housing affordability. So yes, on one hand, we're supporting first home buyers through our home guarantee scheme, but you do need the supply of housing. That's part of the reason why under the regional home guarantee that I just described, we're putting in place those 10,000 places for people who build or construct a new home. So again, to encourage that new supply of housing. Indeed, throughout this entire term of Parliament, we've been focused on the new supply of housing, which was why we put in place the Home Builder program, which at a time when the housing market was about to fall off a cliff, people weren't buying new homes, the supply of housing was going to be massively constrained. That program elevated the industry, and we're now seeing it at record highs. But you're right, Tristan, in the end, housing supply is the major game in town, which is why we continue to encourage state and local governments to remove the bottlenecks and allow the supply of new housing, particularly in our capital cities, but also in our regions, because that's the only way you ultimately address the long-term issues with our housing market.
Minister, it seems like everything is going up at the moment. The cost of living is through the roof. We've got food and rent and petrol prices all just breaking at the budget. What sort of relief will struggling families and struggling Australians see in tomorrow's budget?
Look, we have a real focus in this budget on addressing the cost of living pressures that families and individuals are facing. Obviously, I can't spell them out now. They'll all be in the Treasurer's speech. But
what about the fuel
we're very
excise?
conscious that, yes, on one. Yeah, absolutely. You'll have to wait and see tomorrow night, Sarah, to see what the Treasurer has to say. Obviously, fuel is a big component of your typical household's costs. They're not costs you can reduce very easily because driving in our cars is such an integral part of so many people's lives. So that is clearly an area of cost of living concerns, particularly as we've seen the international oil price increase. So the Treasurer will have more to say about these things. I suppose the point I'm making, though, is yes, on one hand, the economy is going strong. We're leading the pack on economic recovery. Unemployment's at 4%, but families are still feeling these pressures, and tomorrow night will be an acknowledgement of that and a tangible way of trying to address it.
So you can't confirm it's a 25-cent cut to the fuel excise for 3 months?
I absolutely expect and commend you for asking that question. Today's one of those days where I have to do a lot of interviews and, yeah, correct, and not give away too much information. But look, tune in tomorrow night and watch. It's a real acknowledgement in the budget that we want to assist families in dealing with the cost of living pressures they're feeling. And as I said, yes, the economy is strong, yes, unemployment's low, but we really do feel that easing those cost of living pressures is really important, as is helping young people into their first home, which is really the focus of what I've been speaking about today.
Yeah.
We can't wave the white flag on home ownership. We want to support Australians into a home, and that's what the Home Guarantee Scheme expansion to 50,000 places will facilitate.
All right,
yeah, it's a big announcement tomorrow, a very important one.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today, Minister.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Housing Minister and Assistant Treasurer Michael Sukkar there. Very big night, of course, with the budget tomorrow.
All eyes are going to be on that for sure.